In this video, I'm going to share with you my journey so far with 4-week-old chicks that I got from my hatchery as baby day-old chicks. We're going to cover how much feed you can expect to use. We're going to cover the space you're required to have, or at least that I would recommend you have for chicks this old. We've raised a lot of meat birds in the past, hundreds and hundreds of meat chickens, Cornish cross, in these chicken tractors. I've got more outside next to my shed. This is just one of them. And it's a 4x8 chicken tractor I use because I can easily fit it in and out of a standard pickup in between the wheel wells. And I use this as a transition between a brooder that is much smaller, warmer, more confined inside in our basement, and it's a kind of a transition between that and actually just putting them outside. They'd probably be fine during the day, but here in Wisconsin in the spring, we get down into the 20s and the 30s at night. And I just want to make sure that the chickens are fully ready to be exposed to that type of cool temperature. And you need to remove the heat lamp and do all of that. So right now they're in this chicken tractor. I open the chicken tractor just like this. It's pretty basic. And they are extremely scared. They're very, very squirrely right now. They haven't gotten adjusted to me. It's actually worse than when you first get them. When you first get them, they seem to be more friendly to you than they are right now. Let me bring you in closer so we can take a look at them. So you can see the white ones, those are the Delaware. The lighter brown, those are the Buff Orpington chicks. And then those dark brown ones, there's 4 of them you can see there. Those are the Partridge Rock chicken breed. So as you can see here, they're in a meat chicken tractor, which has wheels right there that you pull it around on in your yard for a new spot every day if you're not familiar with meat chicken tractors. Let me zoom out a little bit. We still have their feeder and their water and a heat lamp inside here, of course. Their water hasn't changed. I just hang that from a rope right here. Hang that down. These are leaf mulch and wood shavings combined. I use both at this point because I save money not having to buy shavings from a farm store. So I mulch up leaves behind my lawnmower, and I use that in combination with the wood shavings, as you can see right here. And then for their feed, we use chick starter, but I use what I would commonly use with meat chickens. I'm probably going to use this too when they go out and are in their actual chicken run by the chicken coop next to the garden. These are really great feeders. If you have 10 or more chickens, this is the thing to get, in my opinion, for chicken feed because it's so easy to fill. It's so easy to move around. This top part spins, so if a chicken tries to stand there, it falls off. They don't poop on here. All their waste stays to the side, and you can get a lot of chickens feeding here happily without worrying about, getting too close to one another. As you can see now, they always go and get stuck up in that corner like that. Underneath here, I put a tarp around the edge. I just zip tied it to the edge. I do this every time we have chickens out here. So once a year, once every other year, depending on when we get them. I zip tie that around. That just makes cleanup a lot easier. Then I just wash off the tarp and use it for something else, firewood or whatever else. So it works out pretty well. This is a nice little setup. As we get to the front over here, you can see how I tie off the light and I tie off the water. The water is tied off on here. And it hangs from this right here. I just unclip it and I can go fill up the water and put it back. I don't need to untie the string or the rope. This is clamped on right there. It's also tied on very tightly with that orange rope and secured over here. So there's 2 ways that light is turned on. Of course, lights can be a fire hazard. So you want to make sure it's really clamped on. Then I always keep an extra light nearby in case I walk out here and notice that it's not on. The chicks have probably quadrupled their feed consumption. So you go through a lot more feed. They're obviously a lot bigger. They're obviously a lot bigger than they were in my first video when they were just little fluffy, yellow, cute little chicks. They're way, way bigger now. But they're also a joy to have because you can see their potential. You can see them starting to get their colors. The Delaware getting those black little spots around their neck and wings and tail. They don't have a lot of black on them usually when they're adults, but sometimes they do. That Buff Orpington, that beautiful light brown color. The Partridge Rock, if I can zoom in, they've got beautiful feathers. You can kind of start to see it now. If you look there, you see those feathers? Even at a young age, they're starting to get really nice looking feathers there. If you're wondering how much space chickens need when they're 4 weeks old, the answer is not that much, but probably more than their first brooder that you put them in. This is 32 square feet, 4 feet wide, 8 feet long. So it's like the size of a typical pickup truck with the tailgate down, most pickup trucks. And with that being said, we've got 19 chickens in here and we've got 32 square feet. And what you'll find when you have chickens is that, yeah, they mosey around a lot. They do a lot of different things with eating and drinking, and some go to sleep and some stay awake and some scratch over here. They're very active animals, especially these type of birds, these egg layers, they're very active. However, you're going to notice a lot of times that they're all huddled in one little spot, just resting for a while for like a half an hour, and then they get up and go on their way. So if you have 1.2 square feet or even 1 square foot per chicken, especially at this size when they're not even close to being full grown yet, you're probably just fine. That's been my experience. So you saw the water that I had in there. It's the same one I use when they're chicks, and it's even one you can use into adulthood. Big chickens can use that same water as long as you keep refilling it on a daily basis, especially with the amount of chickens that we have. So how much water you use depends on temperature, and it depends on obviously where you live then. So right now it's in the 50s right now. At night it gets to the 20s or 30s, so they're not drinking a lot of water like they would if they're exposed outside in the sun and being more active. So I fill up that water about once every 3 days. It doesn't really get that dirty because it's elevated off the floor, but if it did, I would probably have to fill it up a little bit more often. I mentioned earlier about how I use wood shavings and leaf mulch. We use leaf mulch for everything. We fill up our entire chicken run with that. I use that for bedding in a coop. I put it on top of all of my raised beds for mulch. We use it for a lot of different things here in our homestead. But we also use it in here because instead of purchasing shavings for $6, $7 a bag, which isn't terrible, we can just get this for free by driving around my property with the lawnmower. And so we use about 2 inches of shavings and mulch, leaf mulch on here. Then when that starts to flatten down, if you notice a smell because the manure is overtaking that, you just have to add some to it. So it's not that big of a deal. Don't rely on like a scientific formula that's going to tell you how much you need to have. We just try to keep an inch or two at all times, and then we don't take any away and reapply it. We just keep adding to it because it's going to start breaking down, and then eventually is going to go into our compost by the chicken run for them to break down later. That'll eventually go onto our garden. So none of this gets wasted. If you're interested in raising chickens, whether it's meat chickens or egg-laying chickens, the brooder process is exactly the same up to the point of about 3 or 4 weeks. The chickens, no matter what the breed, need the same type of care and attention. So watch this video here to understand how to do that in case you're getting into chickens, you don't know how to set up a brooder. And make sure you watch this other video up here because it's really going to benefit you and your homestead. Thanks for watching. Take care.